Well, hello, this is Pastor Angel here. Thank you for tuning into this video. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. In this video, I would like to just talk about how I was able to read 50 books last year. Actually, 51. My goal was 50 books, and it was actually that way towards the middle of the year. I had been reading at least 40 books a year since, I'd say 2020, and I made it to 51 books last year in 2024. And I just wanted to share just 5 things that I have used that have been very helpful for me in being able to read so many books in a year. And I hope that it is also very helpful for you as well. The first thing is that you have to look at the book, get a feel for what kind of book it is. There are books I have read that are very story oriented. There are other books that are very factually based. It just throws a bunch of facts and numbers at you. And so it's always good to get a feel what the book is going to be. Read through the table of contents, look at the back cover, all of that, just to kind of give you an idea and just to kind of prep you for what you are going to read. But then also it helps you for how you're going to read the book. A lot of times it's not just with reading, just for reading in of itself, but how we're going to read, how we're going to approach a book. It's almost like a problem solving kind of skill. So one of the things is that I do is read the first 2 lines of every paragraph. So on some books, it kind of just gives you the whole point of the paragraph right in the first 2 lines. Sometimes it could be the first sentence of a paragraph. It already gives you an idea of what you are going to be reading, what the paragraph is trying to say. Therefore, if you already have some kind of background knowledge of what the book is describing, of what's going on in that chapter, in that paragraph, then just read the first line, maybe the second line. I wouldn't go past the third line, especially depending how big the paragraph is, because then you find yourself kind of just reading the whole paragraph by the end of it. But at least the first 2 lines of every paragraph, and it kind of gives you the main point of what it is that you are reading. The second thing is use a visual pacer. So whether it's your finger going across the page or a pen, use a pen to go across the line on the page, and that should be able to help you focus your eyes and to follow along the words and go across the line on the page a little bit faster than if you were just reading without using anything to go across the page. It's something that we have seen children do when they're first learning to read, and there's a reason for that, because it helps them to follow along. As adults, though, we are able to read faster, we're able to comprehend faster, and therefore, as we slide across the page with our finger or a pen, then we are able to read faster. And our brains, we're not to underestimate our brains are still able to process the information a lot faster, even though we are just going across the lines. Try it. You might be surprised as to how that may turn out. The third thing is to keep a book at a distance. So it's always good to not read and have the book so close to you, but keep it at a distance. When you keep it at a distance, you're able to see more of the page versus when you are reading it up close. So if you are able to keep it at a distance, you're able to also follow along with your finger or with a pen, and you are able to get more of the information. You're able to see more at a time versus then only seeing a little bit at a time because you're reading so close. So that's one thing that I do. I try to keep it away from my face as much as visually possible. The fourth thing is, and this is for the Kindle readers, most of the books that I have read have been on the Kindle. Not only on the Kindle, but also on the Kindle app on my smartphone. I use my phone for a lot of my reading, actually. And it's good because instead of going on social media and just scrolling through, we're able to actually use our screen time for something that's more productive, and that is reading. Speaking of scrolling, one feature with the Kindle is if you go to your settings, and it's in the same settings where you're able to change the size of the font, change the space in between the lines, change the margins and all that, there is an option there for continuous scrolling. You hit that, and what you do is, instead of swiping across to turn the page in the Kindle, like you're turning a page in a book, what you're actually doing is now you're doing continuous scrolling. And as you're doing this continuous scrolling, it actually helps to read faster than to swipe across. I don't know what the science is behind that, but I know for me personally, that is something that has worked tremendously. I just find myself, I think it's because when you're already holding a phone and the way how you're holding it and you have your thumb already on the screen and you're so used to just scrolling, as you're scrolling through social media, you're scrolling through YouTube Shorts, Reels, whatever social media platform that you're using, you're so used to just scrolling that when you read and your thumb is already used to doing this, constantly scrolling, it just helps to read faster. It helps to go through a book a lot faster. One of the things that I like to do on the Kindle, I always look at the percentage, I look at the time that's left in the book, and if I just don't pay attention to that and I just do this continuously scrolling, say in a 15-minute time frame, I can actually get through about 20 pages and not even realize it, especially if I'm applying the other principles depending on the book that I am reading. If I'm using a visual pacer, I'm using a pen, even on the phone, as I'm holding the phone, as I'm scrolling up, I have the pen and I am just going across. And it helps you to go across a lot faster because a phone is not wide enough for an entire book. So it's a lot easier to just kind of go across on the screen on the phone. Same thing with a Kindle tablet. I use a Kindle tablet as well. And again, on the tablet, it has the same feature. You're able to turn on continuous scrolling and just scroll away and just scroll up as you are reading. And I find it to be very beneficial. The fifth thing and the final thing is set a goal. Set a goal for what you want to read. It's important to have an idea, have a plan of what books you're going to read. I have a list of a bunch of books that I want to read, books that I have on my wish list that I look forward at some point in buying. But then I have books, especially on the Kindle app, there's always deals, there's things, there's credits, there's all this stuff that you're able to take advantage of. Sometimes I may buy 3 or 4 books at a time and I know I'm not going to read them for a while, but I have them there. I took advantage of the deal. I have the book, and whenever I'm ready for it, whenever I'm going to read it, it's right there and I am able to read it. But it's important to set a goal. Set a goal, whether you want to read 1 book a week, you want to read 2 books a week, 3 books. If you're able to read 3 books in a week, God bless you. I have yet to do that. Although I did do that for a little bit in 2020 when I first started in trying to shoot for 50 books in a year. But 3 books a month, 5 books a month is usually what I try to go for. So 3 to 5 books a month. I try to do 5 books if I can. And for me, looking at it from or taking a monthly approach at it is a lot easier. It doesn't put so much pressure when it's day to day and week to week. So if I set a goal, well, I'm supposed to read 1 book a week, and say it's already Tuesday and I have only read a couple of pages and I have 4 or 5 days left before the end of the of the week or to the weekend, however it is that you decide, Sunday to Sunday, Saturday to Saturday, what have you, and you're already putting that pressure on yourself. But if you do it monthly, then you are able to, if you have to, skip a couple of days here and there. There's more of a grace period that you're able to have. There are some books, if there's like a 100-page book, let's say, I know I'm able to read that a lot faster versus a 300-page book. And so that's where you just try to plan it out as best as you can, as much as you can, in setting goals. And maybe this month you're able to do 3 books. Next month, if you know that you're going to have an easier schedule, then maybe you can do 5 books. There was 1 month last year, I want to say it was probably August, I managed to read about 6 or 7 books in that month. I just happened to have the extra time, maybe because it was in August and I was sitting outside more. Being outside in a quieter environment is helpful. I just managed to read a lot more in that particular time. And so you have that openness, you have that grace, you have that freedom to be able to do this as best as you can. And what I would say is, do not freak out about it. Do not get overwhelmed. Pace yourself. Take it easy. For me, If I did not reach 50 books, and I try to say, all right, can I do 45? Can I do 40? Depending on the reading material as well. If I am reading a 1,000-page book, a systematic theology, I'm not going to read that in a month. I may try, but I'm not going to read that and read 3 other books in a month. I'm going to just stick with that one book. Try to read that in a month, maybe 6 weeks, whatever it is. However it is that you're able to reach the goal, whatever goal you want to set, just remember to pace yourself. Just remember to show yourself some grace. And if you cannot read as much as you can today, try to do some tomorrow. It's just very important that we are able to not give up, to just be able to read, to just pick up a book and just read. If you don't have a goal of 51 books, then just read using the tools that I have provided in this video. Keep the book away from you. Don't have it so up close. You're able to see more when it's further away from you. Read only the first 2 lines of the paragraph, depending on what the book is. Use a visual pacer, use a pen to be able to go across the lines a lot faster. It helps your eyes to follow along faster, and your brain is still able to process everything. And if you're using a Kindle, just don't forget that continuous scrolling feature. That's very, very helpful. I'm just hopeful that this has been a very beneficial video, as I have shared these tools of what I used and how I was able to read 51 books last year. And this year, I hope to do the same thing. But if I can't, that's okay. But I just hope that this has been beneficial. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care, and God bless.